As a safety person, there's a lot of venues that you speak in where you don't have a microphone. I understand that. If you're doing a tailgate meeting on a job site, you don't have a PA system, that's perfectly understandable. If, however, you could get a hold of one, I'd really recommend it. I was at Disney when they opened the new Star Wars ride, and they actually had Disney employees that were informing the crowds that were waiting in line very early in the morning, and they were telling them what they needed to do to get on the app and figure it out. And they had one of those little portable microphones with a headset mic, and then they carried the little the public address system, or the speakers sat on their chest, and then people could hear them. It magnified their voice, made it easier for people to hear. There are some great portable speaker systems, and I'd recommend those to you, because there are people in your job sites with a hearing impairment that when you use a microphone, they can hear you, and when you don't, they don't hear you. So make sure you use a PA system whenever you can. Years ago, before I got into the safety profession, I was a professional magician, and I still am a professional magician, and I use magic in my presentations. But when I was doing magic professionally, I would quite often do shows without a microphone, without a PA system, unless they happened to have one at the place I was doing my show. And then years into my doing magic professionally, I bumped into another magician at a trade show. And I was doing trade show magic for General Motors at the time at their booth and their display showing off their cars. And the other magician told me, he says, you should always use a PA system when you're doing your magic show. And I said, well, I've got a booming voice. I've done stuff in the Boy Scouts, done campfires with 350, 500 people without a microphone, with a campfire, the kids and everything else. People can hear me. I've got a great booming voice. He said, use a microphone. Well, this guy is a top professional and knew what he was talking about. And one of my rules is, when you learn from a mentor, when somebody that's wiser than you or has information that you don't know, or that they're better at something than you are, then you should listen and at least try out what they say. And so I decided to do that, and I went and got a portable PA system. It cost me about $1,200, and this is quite a few years ago. And I bought this portable PA system, and I took it with me, and I started using it, and it had a clip-on mic. And all of a sudden, I realized I had laughter at a birthday party I wasn't getting before. There were people that couldn't quite hear the joke I was telling or the interaction I had with somebody on the stage. And because of that, they weren't getting the joke, and I wasn't getting credit for being as clever as I was being. And I realized, even with the booming voice, that when my head moved and changed back and forth like this, that the sound of my voice dropped and went up and down, and anybody with a hearing impairment wouldn't hear me. So please understand that you are much better off. I don't care how powerful your voice is, how strong your voice is, you are much better off when you use a microphone and a PA system. And I would highly recommend it for everybody to use that. If you're a safety professional, a PA system is well worth bringing to you on a job site. Just a small little portable mic. There's a company called Anchor Audio, and they make some incredible portable units. And they're not that expensive. And when you think about it, if somebody hears the safety technique you're teaching and wouldn't have heard it, that's going to pay for itself in one simple injury that it prevents. And so make sure you use that microphone so people get the information you're giving them, that they get the nuance of anything that you're making that's funny or unique or whatever, so they're not missing a point. And by the way, if they have a hearing impairment, I learned this when I had a hearing problem. I had an eardrum burst one time. I was flying quite a bit and had a stuffed up head, and my eardrum burst, and I didn't have hearing on one side. And I was at a 9-day seminar, and while I was at the seminar, about 3 days in, I realized I always sat in the same seat because my good ear was pointed toward a PA microphone, or a speaker that was in one spot in the room, and I could always hear from that. It didn't matter where the speaker was turning or looking, his voice was always coming out of that speaker to my good ear at the moment. And that made a lot of difference. So make sure you use a microphone and a PA system whenever you can. And if you don't have one, go out and get a decent system. Get one that's a little more powerful than you think you might need, because the one thing you never want to do in a PA system is turn it all the way up. You want to be no more than 3/4, because if you power it up too high, the microphone will actually start doing feedback. So do yourself a favor on that. But have a great time doing your presentations, and make sure you use some form of PA system and microphone. How many times have you been in a room and somebody has a microphone and they introduce the next speaker, and the person walks up and says, I don't really need to use this mic. I'm pretty loud. Can everyone hear me? I can scream when I hear that. I go out of my mind because the people in the back that can't hear are not going to raise their hand going, I can't hear you. The person in the room that has a hearing impairment, the person that's getting older and doesn't want other people to know they're losing their hearing, they're not going to raise their hand and point that out. They're going to stay quiet and not hear what you have to say. So my little speaking tip for you today is, whenever you have the opportunity to use a PA system or a microphone, make sure you use it. And learn how to use a microphone. Practice ahead of time. Get to the meeting early and play around with it. One secret I'll tell you is that the best microphones and the best setups are where they don't have the volume turned all the way up. What you need to do is have that microphone close to your lips. If you watch singers and other people, the microphone is incredibly close to their lips. Watch stand-up comedians, look up some YouTube videos, and you'll see they keep it nearby. Because if the microphone is this far away and you're standing at a podium farther back, they have to turn the sound up to pick up your voice, and to do that makes it so that there can be feedback. So use a PA system whenever you have a chance, because those people with hearing impairments or that don't even know they have a hearing problem will be able to hear you, and it'll make a huge difference to them. Don't miss out. Be sure to hit the red button on the lower right and subscribe. That way, every time we release a video, you'll be aware of it.